center, lifting all, we are free. Calling love to the center, lifting all, we are free.
Bring our music just more and more powerfully every single week. So thank you to our music team. And if you would like to just close your eyes, take a deep breath, join me as we open our service in prayer. And so I know in this one deep breath moment that there is a thread of life which connects each and every one of us, all of us together who come here to experience and express life in this way. I know that in that one life and one breath is this giant, giant wave of love moving through each of our homes, connecting each of us across time and space. Because in the one mind, there is no time and no space. And as I lean into that place, I know that this day, this time, this hour, this gift that I have given myself to be with my spiritual community, to hear words of wisdom from Reverend Jen, to hear some music which brings my heart into a higher place. I know absolutely that all is well in this time and in this moment, and that all is unfolding in a perfection that only Spirit can see. I give thanks for the team of people who have come together to create this experience for all of us, for it takes a village. And I'm grateful for each and every hand and heart that brings itself to this, and we give thanks, we let this go. We know that each of us is served in some beautiful and magnificent way this morning, that there is a spark in this for each and every one of us who have tuned in. I give thanks. I let it go. I know that all things are possible in this beautiful mind of Spirit that we lean into in this time and in all times. And I ask you to join me in saying, and so it is.
Oh, had I a golden thread and needles so fine, I'd weave a magic strand of rainbow design, of rainbow design. In it I would weave the bravery of women giving birth, and in it I would weave the innocence of children over all the earth, children of all earth. Far over the waters I'd reach my magic band, through every city, to every single land, to every land. Show my brothers and my sisters my rainbow design. Bind up this sorry world with hand and heart and mind, hand and heart and mind. Far over the waters I'd reach my magic band, to every human being, so they would understand, they would understand. I'd reach my magic thread through hearts young and old, bind up the wounds of the past, let songs of peace be sung, songs of peace be sung. We would weave a tapestry of cultures far and near, sewing all in unison, trusting without fear, trusting without fear. Oh, had I a golden thread and needles so fine, I'd weave a magic strand of rainbow design, of rainbow design.
Okay, somehow my mute keeps going off and on. Not sure how that's happening, so I'm sorry about that. Okay, anyway, we harmonized our hearts and minds, but we did it silently together. So now here we are moving on. So this week we continue our monthly theme of mindfulness for Mavericks. And the theme this week is mindful intentions. Last week, Reverend Barb, gosh, she did such a beautiful talk last week. It has really stuck with so many of us this week, I know. But she spoke so beautifully about creating a world that works for everyone. She spoke about the death of George Floyd and about how institutional racism is choking the very breath and the very life out of our country. And she shared a quote from Bell Hooks that says, "All awakening to love is spiritual awakening." Then she spoke about the spiritual awakening that we all must do together in order to truly understand the systems of privilege that we all live and breathe in every day. And she told us that it's time for all of us white people to lean in. She reminded us that she let us know how every time she heard the word racist, that she bristled. It took her a really long time to get over that because, like most of us, she didn't think of herself as a racist until she began to learn that racist is a term that's used to describe white people because we live in a system that's designed for our comfort, our safety, and our privilege. It's designed for we who breathe freely. And she called for us to speak for what is right, no matter what, because we get to freely breathe. This is a time of crisis. It's a time of crisis, both physically and spiritually, with COVID, with all of the issues that are coming up to be healed. Racism, sexism, any kind of ism. But the challenge that we face right now is really to learn from this time so that we can create a world that truly does work for everyone. Now, recently I saw a quote by Glennon Doyle that says, "You have been given the gift of crisis." As Kathleen Norris reminds us, the Greek root of the word crisis is to sift, as in to shake out the excesses and leave only what's important. That's what crises do. They shake things up until we are forced to hold on to only what matters most and let the rest fall away. And then a few days ago, I also posted a picture on Facebook of a greeting card by Brian Andreas that read, "Anyone can slay a dragon," she told me, "but try getting up every morning and loving the world all over again. That's what takes a real hero." You know, with all that is going on in the world, we're being called to be more mindful than ever before in the ways we think and act. From the seemingly small ways, such as how we talk to our children and our spouses at the end of another long day of too much togetherness. Because as we're all learning right now, there's a big difference between togetherness and oneness. To the big ways, such as how we think, talk, and act, so that we're mindful to intend, to create, and to foster peace, love, and oneness, and a world that works for everyone. We're being called to wake up every morning and love the world all over again. We're being called to wake up every morning and love the world in even better ways. And so this week's talk is about mindful intentions. It's about being consciously aware of what we want to create for ourselves and for the world. And so the question is, how do we mindfully create a world where everyone is heard, everyone is respected and cared for, regardless of the color of our skin, our level of education, our social or economic status, regardless of who we love or how we express our divine beingness in the world? How do we speak up for what is right in a way that brings to life our mindful intentions for equity and equality for all, for love between all people, and for peace in the world? You know, we in New Thought have been calling for years for a world that works for everyone. And like so many things that we call in, often everything that is not like what we say we want will show up so that it can be healed, revealed, and transformed. And right now, we're getting very clear video of how the world, at least in the United States, is not working. So, do we back off our vision and say, "Oh, well, oh, hell no, we don't. We roll up our sleeves like Rosie the Riveter and we figure out what we can do to help clean up the mess"? Not by sweeping it under the rug as we've done in the past, but by truly pulling out the roots of inequity and demanding a world that is better for every human being. Do you remember back in January when you sent new intentions for 2020? Are those intentions still on your daily plan? We've been thrown into such a spin these last several months, and some of us have just been doing our best to figure out how to navigate this new life ahead of us. When and how to buy our groceries, how to do our jobs from home, how to homeschool our kids. It's really been such a whirlwind that we may not even have thought about the lofty life goals that we set back in January. But this time has been ripe with opportunities to rethink those priorities. It's given us the chance to change our thinking in order to change our lives. So we can kind of think of it as a mid-year checkup, right? Just like we do at the beginning of January, we're getting a new chance to really create the lives we intend to live. So Reverend Barb is joining me this morning, and we thought we would just share some of the questions that we've been asking of ourselves and each other, and share some ideas about what living a life of intention really means to us. So good morning, Reverend Barbara. I'm glad you're here.
You're glad I ran upstairs to tell you to unmute.
Yeah, I think too many techs have their fingers. So we had a lot of people trying to unmute me, and I just kept getting muted. But that was not my mindful intention for this morning. But anyway.
It all works out in the end, though, doesn't it?
It does.
And that's part of the lesson in this. Like, yeah, we had some different ideas about what this year was going to look like, and here we are. And like our faith demands that we just understand that it's all going to work out in the end. We might not know what that looks like, and it's hard to lean into that sometimes.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. We've been talking about this, for the last week, the last several weeks, the last several months, but I don't know. What does living a life of mindful intention mean to you?
Well, it's funny because my personality type is one that sees, my brain type, whatever it is. I always see options, and even when I land on a place, like I still see options, and this is a thing we laugh about all the time. It drives you a little bit crazy. We'll decide at noon when where we're gonna go for dinner, and 5 minutes before we're gonna leave, I'm like, but we could go here or we could go here, and you're like, but we decided to go here. So, um, so for me, I think that intention always has space for growth and expansion, and intention is a step and not an end point for me. So, um, and I like to have things figured out. Like I'm a person that can see to the end of the road usually, or where the road's going, and so this has been an interesting time in sitting in the question of really not knowing what things are going to look like in 6 months or even in 3 months. Like, you know, what about you? I mean, you work differently than I do, and it's kind of an interesting thing. You're like, once we decide, you're comfortable with that decision, and that's what we're gonna. You don't even think about it again, probably. I don't know, but
Well, it's interesting that you say that you like to have a plan and you like to know what's happening, because I'm the same way. It's just that when we make the plan, I think that's the plan, and then we could do this.
But the plan has other opportunities. We are still going to dinner. We know that. Like,
well, that's why our life is such an adventure together. But so, what have you learned about life in the last 3 months that you maybe want to keep after all this is over?
the thing that comes up for me is that I actually really like the life that I've created, that we've created, and that I've created. I love my work. I love the direction that my life has taken with the job at Centers for Spiritual Living. I love the freedom and the opportunity it's given for NTNC to grow beyond me, and into you and Reverend Leah, and to still be part of this community, which I have so much heart for. But to take all the years of ministry and management and all the things that I've done in my life and move it into a bigger sphere. And I love our home and our dog and you, and what's gotten clear to me is that and I haven't had a slowdown in this period at all. In fact, there's been a ramp up for us to keep up technologically and to do church in this way and all that. So what I've learned is that you really love our vacations. Like, that's not a surprise. I miss our vacations, and that I just really love my life, and I like the forward motion of my life right now, and the busyness of my life is not just mindless busyness. It's actually very productive and feels good, and like I'm making a difference in the world in a new way.
Yeah.
Well, what about you? What do this has been a big change. You've come home. Your mom's health is a little different than, what are you taking with you from this?
So, right, like you, that hasn't been a slowdown for me. It's been a ramp up, because we have completely turned how we've done church on its head, and it's given us a chance. We've wanted to do live streaming and online, so really, it's been great in that respect. I really, really miss seeing everyone every week, and wrapping my arms around people. But I have to say that as far as my daily work, it's really taken a lot of pressure off of me. And I feel like I'm a lot more productive now that I get to work from home, mostly, instead of feeling like I have to be a presence in an office somewhere. And I think that, I am just as available, if not more, than I was before. And so, I feel like I am here for people still, and that the work that we're doing is really good work. And I love our life too. I love the work that we do. I love our community. I love our home and our family and what we've created. So what I want to take with me is that feeling of just being able to redo things so that I can be more productive, so that I can give better parts of myself than those parts that are taken up with commuting or being distracted by other things. This life is in many ways just working better for me. So I like that. But I'm, and I try to bring mindful intention to everything that I do. Now, sometimes that doesn't always work. My mouth runs off before I actually think about what I'm saying. But so all of you out there have benefited from that, then please forgive me. But I really do. To me, living a life of mindful intention is really living from a place of intention. Wayne Dyer talks about, and he has a book called The Power of Intention, and he talks about intention really being the same thing as spirit, as the divine, as God. That intention is that thing. It's that thing that we live from. And so it's just being consciously aware of how we are expressing our divinity in life. And so that's really what I live from as far as being a place of intention, and really what I want to take with me. So
what do you think spiritual community is going to look like? Like we talk about this a lot because it's so hard to know.
Right.
But
I think spiritual community is going to look like exactly what we're doing this morning, from here on out. And I am really looking forward to the day when we can all safely gather back together. Now, whether we do that to the degree that we did that before, or whether we have smaller groups that get together, I'm not sure about that. But what I do know, I know that the church is not a building. I know that the church is all of us. I know that it's who we are as we come together and just share time together, not only on Sunday mornings, but by participating in the opportunities during the week to come together so that we get more personal connection with one another. So I think that, we're going to be offering more opportunities for those kinds of connections during the week. And that's why we always encourage everyone to participate in our classes and all the groups that we have going on.
Or to pick one.
Or pick one.
Everybody can't do everything. We know that everybody can't do everything.
Right.
But pick one thing, especially, I think especially as it appears that the virus is coming back in some places, and there's more and more conversation about the longevity of not gathering in large groups, like small groups, tables of people in restaurants. That's starting to work out, that kind of thing. But the danger in big groups is really amplified, and especially in vulnerable populations. And, I would say 20% of our community falls into that category. Mm-hmm. So I do think that we've been talking for a long time about whether Sunday morning church, call it, is the thing of the future. And while I think it's a part of the future, mm-hmm. it's definitely not all of it. And I think this just really amplified that and brought that clearly to light, more clearly than my mouth is working right now.
Yeah. I agree.
So I don't have a good answer. Like I still, as ministers, we're called to be the vision holders, right. And so for me, that has meant for a long time that I have a path and an intention and a clear forward way to share with people. And, mm-hmm. and what I have right now goes back really to spiritual principle, is the intention for connection and heart connection, the intention to continue to be able to expand spiritually and to grow, mm-hmm. and to be released from my ideas about what the form of that looks like.
Right.
And to become more open about what the form might actually look like that hasn't even crossed our minds yet, perhaps.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking for the big grand divine idea. I would love to have that land.
Well, Wouldn't we? Nobody, I don't know anybody who's like totally comfortable hanging out in this place of uncertainty about not knowing exactly what's ahead.
Yeah.
Not that we ever really do, but at least, before all this happened, it seemed like it was a little more predictable. So,
Yeah. But the most important thing, I think, when I think about, okay, what's the most important thing in spiritual community for me?
yeah.
Like since I started this journey way back in Long Beach, what's been the most important thing? And the most important thing has been the deep, close connection with a handful of people that I'm doing my spiritual work with and that I can be real around and honest around and that sort of thing. So one of the things I love about you guys trying to create these home groups right now is that in the future maybe we will meet like we should have a group in our living room, we will meet in those ways, and maybe that's a different form of spiritual of what NTNC encompasses besides a once a week do we meet once a week, do we meet once a month as a whole group? I don't know. There's so much possibility. Everything in between is possible.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what everybody else thinks. So, I can't read all the comments in the chat right now while this is going, but we will. And if you want to email us and share your ideas, we're making a pool of ideas.
Right.
And this is, I think, also, I'm running on a little bit. Sorry. This is a time when it stops at some point being about the decisions and the responsibility of the ministers and the minister or the ministerial team, and becomes about a community of people and an expansion of a community of people. And that's what we've been trying to create for a long time, and not always, hitting the right bell on. And I hope that that's part of what comes from this.
Yeah.
Ownership. It's ownership.
We call ourselves a spiritual family, and just as in every family, there has to be some ownership about your role and your participation. And yes, we are here to lead and to fulfill the collective vision for what that looks like.
Yeah.
But we would love
showing up even when you find somebody annoying. We all have an annoying relative. We show up anyway, and that's kind of what spiritual community is about too.
Well, and isn't that really how we're going to make a world that works for everyone? I mean, we were going to talk about, if we are really intentional about creating a world that works for everyone, what would that look like? And really, that is part of what it looks like. It's part of, it's accepting the people that disagree with you. It's accepting the annoying people. It's, and loving them and showing them compassion and peace. And, I've seen so many things on Facebook recently that, well, if you agree to disagree is not it's a thing for, do we like chocolate in our coffee or not? It's not about our philosophy around racism or how we treat other people. And so go ahead and unfriend me if you don't like what I say. And, I understand where people are coming from when they do that. But at the same time, we can't build this idea of oneness if we continue separating people out because they're different or they think differently from us.
Yeah, I have to agree and disagree there. Like, I have no room anymore. If you want to be the kind of racist that is about inequality and is about holding groups of people down and is about keeping children in cages and is about not really understanding the systemic privilege that's in our society and how that has impacted a large percentage of our population, then I actually don't want, if you're not willing to explore that and try to understand, and you just really want to stay locked in that ideology that's only working for 1% of the population now, then I don't actually need to hang out with you anymore. Like, seriously, in my life, I have to say, like, if you're not willing to look and be curious and bring some curiosity and some compassion to the table, then I don't really have time for that. I want to be with people who are trying to sort it out.
Yeah. Well, I totally agree with that. And I would never say that we should condone people's behavior, especially when they're harmful or ugly or anything else. And yes, I think that, we can not continue to have the discussion, but I hate to see us break off the discussion with people, because I really think that that is the way that I hate to see us break off any kind of respectful discussion. A world that works for everyone is really a world that respects everyone. And so that's really a way that we have to bring respect into all of it, is how we talk to each other, and that we can agree to disagree, but that we are still talking in respectful terms about the issues.
Right. If we're having a respectful conversation, I'm all in.
Right.
I'm always ready to be a bridge. And,
Yeah.
but if you're just going to call me names and you know, say, I'm not even going to say what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
then I want to work with people who want to change and who want to understand their own internal biases and sort those things out. We all have them,
Mhm.
it's just really time to sort them out. And yeah, anybody who's willing, and that's part of my thing, is like, we create a safe space to be able to dump that stuff in the middle of the table and sort it out. And
Yeah.
um, and that's what spiritual community is about for me. Also, is continuing to have a safe place to grow and expand and sort out the things we don't have right yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So what does a world that works for everyone really look like for you? How do you use mindful intention? And when you turn your mindful intention to that, what does that look like for you?
Well, it's such a hard question, because what I think works for the world might not work for, somebody that lives in another part of the world. And so I think for me, it's first of all, it's a world where there's a more equal playing field,
Mm-hmm.
where where the systems that have held groups of people in poverty and in lack and in lack of opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be really clear about that. I think that everyone wants opportunity. I don't think anyone in the world wants to just be handed their life on a silver platter. People actually enjoy working forward in their life. But when the opportunity doesn't present itself or isn't there, then there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And so, to me, a world that works for everyone is a place where people have opportunity and educational opportunity, and that the systems of privilege have been dismantled in a way that that we've created a ball field that everyone gets a chance to play on.
Yeah.
And so that's for starters. I mean, I don't have all the grand answers. All I have is what is mine to do in that, and mine to do in that is the thing that I've been called to do for the last 15 years, which is to live my growth in public, to be willing to teach and to sit in vulnerable places and have book groups and be willing to be a participant in things that I don't know and I don't understand completely, and to read and learn and grow. And if we're all doing that, then I think we all start to see what hasn't been working. And I think that really at heart, most of people are pretty compassionate, and most people want want a level playing. Most people, I think, I still have to think, most people want a level playing field for everyone. And maybe that's naive, but I don't care. So I just have to look at what's mine to do to bring that about. And what's mine to do right now is to not ignore this time and opportunity that has presented itself. Like, I have known for a long time that there has been violence in Black communities that we did not understand, and in white communities, and especially here in northern Colorado, but I can't ignore it anymore. And I think that's the change right now, is that we're called to not put it under a blanket anymore. I am one of the people who has been shocked by the blatant racism that has shown up since the 2016 election. Like, I just thought that was really gone, and that people were smarter than that.
Yeah.
So I've had to get over my disappointment and get over my anger and get over my frustration about that and get into then where do I participate in that in some way, in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that really is a time that's leading to some big shifts. I think that we are really uncovering and healing some of the icky stuff that's been kind of hiding, that's been swept under the rug for so long. So really, I think what I would ask of our community, of every person that watches and participates and joins us today, is, what are the answers? What are your answers to these questions? What matters most to you, and what will you allow to fall away after some of this is gone, after we find a vaccine and we can gather together again? How will you get up every day and be a hero by continuing to love the world? How will you use mindful intention to create the life that you want to live in a world that works for everyone? Because I think that's our mission now. That's our new intention, is to answer these questions. What do we want life to look like? And what's our part in that? How are we going to be our own heroes, so that we do create that for ourselves and everyone else?
Well, and for our kids and our grandkids, like I don't want my niece looking back at me, or her kids looking back at me and saying, how could you have wasted this opportunity? Like everything came together in 2020 to reveal what needs healing and growth. How could you ignore? I'm not going to be part of I cannot be part of ignoring that anymore.
No. And the thing that I find heartening is that the young people aren't accepting that, but that means that they learned that from us. And so all of this has taken a lot of time to come forward, to be healed, to be revealed, and to be healed. But we have raised a generation of people who are willing to take that on and who are saying, no, this is enough. And we're making some big shifts, and this is going to change. So I find that really hopeful.
Yeah, I think some of them, I think, come out of a place of feeling loved and secure and knowing they can take these stands and having a different understanding of the world. And I think some of it is because there's a whole generation of young people right now between 20 and 30 for whom the social contract is not working either.
Yeah.
The old social contract of work hard, get a job, go to school, get a job, get married, none of that's working anymore in the same way. Wages have continued to go down. Cost of living has continued to go up. They are more willing to look at the fact that the homeless population is unacceptable to them, that separation because, the nonsense about gender and sexuality and all of those things. They're like, what? And now they're applying that same thing to race. They're like, what do you mean? And they understand that the social contract doesn't work because they're experiencing it also.
Right.
So they think there's just a greater compassion in that also. And we can't let them down.
No. And I think that's why we keep showing up. As you said, what's mine to do? We keep showing up to keep throwing out ideas of compassion and peace and love in a world that works for everyone.
And we sit and wait and see what spiritual community looks like when we can all get together.
That's right. That's right.
It'll be different everywhere. Northern Colorado is different than any place else. And
yes.
We will do what we're called to do, like we always do.
So email us, you guys, and let us know what you want spiritual community to look like going forward when it's safe to come together again. And in the meantime, what else can we provide that you need, that you want, because we want to offer it. So we are here for you.
Find the one thing. Find the group, find the book group, find the study group, whether it's the Wednesday morning thing, one of the home group, the Adventures in Faith groups, whether you start with the book group with Reverend Jenny and I are both going to do that book group, by the way, together.
The How to Be an
Anti-Racist, which starts this week. And, find a place to be plugged in.
Yeah.
and make it a priority.
That's right. Well, thanks, Barb. It's been a nice conversation this morning. And I hope that all of you have gotten some good takeaways and have gotten some fodder, some fuel for thought, and that you'll spend some time to answer these questions. And we really do hope that you'll email us and let us know how you're answering these questions, because, you know, we love you. We're interested, and it helps us stay connected to you all too. So blessings to everyone. And I think I will just ask now, who wants prayer? Yay.
I do.
So, we just take that collective breath with one another, knowing that as we breathe, we are breathing the same air, that we are breathing the breath of God, because the breath of God is everything. It is everywhere at all times, because we know that this spirit, this God, this intention, this mindful intention is the only thing there is. There is God and nothing else. And we are part, parcel, and package of this spirit, that it lives, moves, and has its being in us, as us, that we are its expression right here and right now. And so I affirm that we all take our mindful intentions forward as the expression of God, remembering, as always, that we face every situation with the question of, what would Spirit have me do here? How can I act in ways that up-level love and compassion and peace in the world? I affirm that each and every one of us, we are each this beautiful expression, and we have the ability to create everything that we mindfully intend, to bring it about and to make it so. Because, as I know, every time we speak our word, we are speaking our word through the mind of God, which passes through the law of mind and into form. This law that only says yes. It only says yes to whatever we ask it to create. And so I know that everything that I have claimed this morning is right here and right now and made so. And we affirm this together by saying, and so it is. Amen.